Welcome everyone back to the second episode of the Pickleballmuse podcast. If you haven't watched our last episode, make sure you click the link below. You'll be able to watch it there. All right, how are y'all doing today? My name's Cameron.
Hi, I'm Al.
I'm Rihanna.
And I'm Jay.
We have a very special guest with us today.
It's a pleasure to be on that pod with you guys. Professional pickleball player. I've been playing professionally since 2020, and I'm full time on the tour on the PPA and Major League Pickleball as well.
Amazing. We just missed you yesterday at the Hub in San Diego. Tell me a little bit about what you were doing over there. They had a lot of great things to say about you.
Yeah, no, I was doing a play with the pro there. I did 3 sessions, so I do enjoy when I'm on the road like this to play with different players and just give an experience to everyone that wants to challenge himself with pro players. So I've been doing this more often. I also teach sometimes. As you know, our schedule are so busy, so it's a little bit harder to do this when I started. But I still enjoy doing it once in a while when I can do it and when I have free time.
So, Jay, let's get to know you a little bit better. I know you grew up in France and then you moved over to Wichita, Kansas. What was that journey like for you?
Yeah, it was definitely a special journey. I'm not gonna lie. I grew up in France, like you said, and then I did my high school degree in Spain in Barcelona. Originally from France, Paris, so big cities. And then I moved to Wichita, Kansas. To be fully honest with you, I didn't do much of my research when I was coming to the States. I was just so excited that I had a very good opportunity in terms of scholarship at Wichita State to play tennis and study. So yeah, that's pretty much how I made my decision to go to Wichita. I didn't know where it was located and things like this. I was just like, hey, it's the American dream. I'm so excited to go to the US, and I'm just going wherever like I get the best opportunity. And Wichita, the Shockers like took me home, and yeah, since then I've been living in Kansas. Like after 6 months at Wichita State, I was very close to leaving. I was thinking about, I was questioning my decisions a lot, and then again, like people are so friendly and so welcoming, that it's hard to put it in words, but like it was just like I started feeling home as well. And obviously, like my wife is there. I have kiddos as well, so now we built a family as well, and it's just so easy, so accessible, and so friendly, and all this made me stay there and said, like, actually it's not a bad place, and it's a city that really grew on us. And yeah, no, obviously I don't know if I'm going to spend the rest of my life there with our European groups and everything, but for now it has been great, and we are just blessed to raise our family there for now.
Amazing. How was the transition of playing in France like compared to playing when you moved to Kansas? Was there a difference in skill, a difference in the way you're treated as a player, any differences like that moving from France to such a small city?
Yeah, I feel again, like when I moved, I was like playing tennis at the time. So in tennis, everything is so big in Europe. It's a lot about your professional career as an individual by yourself, maybe with your coach. You start having a small team, but it's not a team sport. And coming to Wichita State, college is all about team sport, working as a team. Even though it's an individual sport, you will have to work as a team. So for a lot of us, it's very hard to understand that. I feel like. Just for the fact that you grew up just playing singles most of the time, and here now you're playing also doubles. You're fighting for your team, not just for yourself. So you work with other guys that have the same goals as you do, and you're kind of help. Like it's a weird vibe a little bit, but it's definitely special because you're building a friendship, and in the meantime it's also like you're competing against each other for to play at the higher spot and everything. So I feel like it was definitely challenging on that end, very different. Um, and again, very blessed I made that decision because otherwise I would not be playing pickleball today. I would not even be in the US otherwise.
Thank God. So tell us a little bit more about your involvement in the French Pickleball Federation. How important is spreading pickleball to France and to other countries to you?
Yeah, so for me, it was always a big goal. Like, again, I had zero intention of playing pickleball. I felt like this is a small court. It's not really for me. I'm too good for that. And then I got a director position for pickleball. And so I was like, I need to learn how to play. Fell in love with the game. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I was so stubborn about playing that sport. But I feel like a lot of us, especially if we're coming from tennis, have that mindset. And I was just I need to introduce this in France and in Europe to my home countries pretty much. Like I was like in Spain, they need to have it because I think it's so social and so accessible for everyone. But I truly started like finding a way. Like for me, it was like I need to make sure that this sport is known in Europe as well. So we have been like since for me it was since 2021. I have been like kind of involved, like trying to make things happen, but from distance. And then 2024 was like the first time like the French Tennis Federation took took pickleball under their wing as well as other sports like padel and tennis and beach tennis and all of this. So I was like, this is a big move for me. Like I don't necessarily have like direct partnership with any of the association that are built, but I just want to grow the sport. So I'm just facilitating everyone that is interested in growing the sport, whether it's in France or in Europe. And I think again, like the FFT right now, the French Tennis Federation did a great job. And we saw like I don't know if you guys saw that, but like we had an activation at the French Open in Roland Garros and things like this. So it's really really exploding at a smaller scale than the US, but it's there now. So hopefully in the next few years you will see more and more tournaments all across the Europe. And yeah.
And I think that coming from someone with such a big tennis background, that it's very important for that to be pushing pickleball, because I feel like it almost makes people take it a little bit more serious, because I feel like a lot of tennis players don't take pickleball as serious.
No, I agree. I agree. I feel like naturally for tennis players we judge a sport too quickly instead of just trying it and having our own experience. Like it's just like we're so in love for our sport tennis that we have worked so hard for years, and then you're like seeing everyone playing and being able to be relatively good in pickleball. So you're like kind of like batching the sport a little bit. But like the biggest thing, in my opinion, that helps pickleball to be considered more of a sport is Jack Sock coming into the world of pickleball, because again like yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete, very well respected in tennis, and the fact that he enjoys pickleball and says that it's a competitive sport as well definitely gave us more credibility than it felt like at some point like most of the tennis player would be like all felt tennis players are playing pickleball. um, and I'm like, if all felt tennis player were playing pickleball, we would be talking about 99+% of the tennis players community. So I mean, it's just again like in order to be successful in tennis is very very hard. um, it takes years to master. Pickleball doesn't take years to master, but it's really hard to master, and I think that's also why it's the beauty of that sport and people love it so much for that. um, and so again, like having ambassadors like former Grand Slam champions or tennis legends playing it and being okay at it or great at it is good, because it shows that it's not necessarily like an easy sport to pick up. It is easy to pick up and be good at it, but not to be great at it. So I felt like it was important having Eugenie Bouchard coming in and struggling a little bit, and Donald Young at the beginning, and now they're figuring it out because they're fantastic athletes. But like again, like it shows that it's not that easy to be a top player in the sport.
So, how open were people in France initially to the introduction of pickleball?
Well, surprisingly well. when I approached it, a lot of people were like, "What is this? What is pickleball?" Like I've never heard that. I don't even know what it is about and things like this. But now, again, like there have been like way more promotion about the sport. People are hearing about it more. I was very surprised personally at the French Open in Roland Garros that there were so many people trying it. So they were not reluctant at the idea of playing. I feel like again, once you try and you have a pickleball paddle in your hand with a wiffle ball, and you're like, "What is this?" and you try it out, and you just enjoy it, and maybe you get annoyed by the noise a little bit at the beginning, but then all those things come along, right? And I just feel like we needed that people have access to courts and a possibility to play, and I feel like that activation that was made there was fantastic because it reached out to a lot of players that had an experience to try, and I think like more people know about it now than the work we had put in the last 3 years before that. So again, like it's growing super fast. It's getting into clubs now. So I think we're gonna see more enthusiasm about the sport more now.
How big do you think pickleball will be in France in the next 5 years?
It's hard to tell because again, I don't know if you're familiar with padel, but padel is a sport that has really taken over in Europe. Um, so obviously like there will be like competing indirectly. I think they're two distinct sports. I love both of them. um, I play a lot of padel now. I'm trying every time I have an opportunity to jump on a court to go as well. And I think if people are not like too too close minded about like trying both sport, I think it's going to grow very fast like wildfire. But if people like are like kind of like fighting it like we did here in the US with tennis and pickleball at the beginning, it might be a little bit slower. But I think eventually that again, the sport is so much more accessible to the general public to be good that we might have more pickleball players than padel player eventually in France. In Spain already, padel is more played than tennis. So I feel like things like this we might start seeing it as well in a lot of European countries if they don't conflict too much with each other and that the sports are actually working together instead of fighting each other.
Requires a much more complicated court, right? You need like the glass box around you and all this extra stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
What
I
am I?
feel like it's a very easy sport to pick up as well, padel, but it's more complex in terms of reading the wall and running forward and backward and things like that. Where pickleball is still very similar to tennis in terms of you're looking always forward most of the time unless you get lobbed, but like you don't have walls to worry about. Like it's the wiffle ball is a little bit slower as well, so it's so much easier to pick up. Also cheaper to build. Like as you mentioned, like those glass gets pretty expensive. Those courts get pretty. It's an investment for clubs or companies trying to involve padel. Where pickleball you can just put lines over a tennis court if you have a tennis court, and so all this will make it also more accessible quicker, and that's why I think it will grow like wildfire eventually.